Welcome, Stokley. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
And congrats on this new solo project.
Thank you.
More than 20 years as the front man of Mint Condition. And the idea of a solo record has obviously come up in the past. But why? Tell us about the timing. Why is now the perfect time for you to actually do this?
Why not? Like as you say, the 20 years of doing anything, or over 25 years doing anything, is a remarkable thing, I would say, in any job that you have. So I mean, naturally, I think a person wants to do something different, spread their wings, see what else they have in their tank, while I'm able, while I'm healthy, relatively young, and, have the energy to do it. So, as artists do, we like to change our looks sometimes and, see what other things we can do. So everything that God gives me, I'm giving to you all. So I think that there's a lot more. I got a couple more gears to give, so.
How is Stokley the soloist different from Stokley of Mint Condition?
I think you'll dive into just more of my personality. With the group, obviously, you leave room for just for everybody to do their thing. You just leave room for more democracy, so to speak. And with me, you just getting this 100%. Me, if I'm silly, you're gonna get 100% of that. A lot of the themes that you see on here, or that you hear, that you hopefully some more videos that you'll see, I'll be able to dig into that. So just a deeper look into who I am as a person, as an artist, as opposed to like 1/5, you get some of that, which is fun too, because you're playing off of your friends and your family growing up. So there's a lot of things that you see there as well, but this is just more of it, Yeah.
Well, I love the album cover, and I feel like we're seeing two different sides to you. And here we've got Chill Stokley, and we've got Fired Up Stokley.
Fire and ice. That's right.
Do we get a bit of fire and ice on this record?
Yeah, as they say, smiles and cries and everything in between. So, it's like I say, the many facets. Life is to be experienced from from many different areas. As many things as you want to experience, you're going to try to do that, right? So, it's just basically about opposites, and there's many facets of a human being. So this is my first offering. Hopefully it resonates with everybody out there. And,
You're not alone on the album. You do have some great collaborations. You collaborate with Omi of cheerleader fame, Estelle, Robert Glasper, to name just a few. It's of course not unusual these days for an artist to have guests on their album. But did you feel in this particular case, because it's your first solo effort, it was good to have some friends helping you out? Did it sort of take the pressure off a little bit?
Well, for me, I record a lot. Obviously, over the years, lots of songs. I've got a few albums in the can, basically. And I honestly got tired of hearing my own everything. You know what I mean? So I like, collaborative, with the fellas from Mint. We always are collaborating, so it's always fresh that way. It keeps it fresh. And, I could sit down and do my own thing on, everything all the time, but I think that's stale. I think it's good to have a conversation as we're having right now to spread what I'm doing to the world. And it comes out differently. So when we have this conversation, I'll probably have a song after this, you know what I mean? And
hang on. Hold up. I'm going to inspire a Stokley song.
Come on, Shannon. Come on, Shannon. Yeah.
You might want to wait till the end, see how it goes.
But it always keeps it fresh, having, different perspectives, I might say, like this project, the process was I looked at it like a movie. So there's a title, this is what it's about. Whoever I was collaborating with was like, oh, we're writing about this, here's the scene. And I would talk about what it is what I went through or what I'm feeling at the time. It's like, okay, let's write for this. And we're looking at this chalkboard in our head, of what it is that I'm talking about, where I want to go. So it keeps it fresh that way,
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about a couple of the songs. We just heard Level, fantastic. And you co-wrote this song. Is songwriting an important part of the process for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I had the track for a few months, and I wrote some stuff over it, which was good. But I'm always trying to push myself to deeper. I mean, this is great, and I think people will love it. A couple people heard it. But there was also another writing team I had been working with on other songs as well, and they took a stab at it. They called the A Team out of L.A. And I love what they did, and I just love the energy that they had. They kind of had it younger than me, but had this old spirit, really spacious approach to it, and I loved it. I'm like, this is perfect. This fits, And we actually had another single in mind for the first single, but every time this song came on, people, the feedback was like, I had to play this not one, not two, not three times, not four times, I was like, oh, that's probably the first single that makes,
That's
repeating that action, yeah.
And there's a song on the album that I'm quite curious about. It's called Organic.
Mm-hmm.
Is it true that this is in part a nod to you embracing being a vegan recently?
Well, I've been always on a quest for, good health and that kind of thing since I was a teenager, and that comes from I've played all kind of different music. At one point I was in 15, 16 different bands from, every genre you can name. If you name it, I've done it. And turned on by some of my West Indian brothers. A lot of them were into vegetarianism, and so I kind of got turned on in my teenage years. And with pescatarian, which is I'm more of a pescatarian actually, not vegan. I tried doing the vegan. It's hard, absolutely. Trying to eat live food and everything. So, but I do eat fish. But yeah, it was kind of a play off of that whole thing, and then the way I saw it was likening it to just all the natural things in the world. And I feel like, the way that particularly women are targeted with magazines and, just socially of all the things that they say you have to look like this, wear this kind of makeup, wear these kind of clothes, act this, that way. I think all I wanted to say was just that, who you are is enough, basically, as you are kind of thing. We accept you, so.
That's a nice message.
Yeah.
You referenced that you have dabbled in all kinds of different genres, but for the most part, you're an R&B guy. Did you try and stay in an R&B lane for this particular album? Because these days, music tends to be a blend of things.
And it is. If you listen to, there's some stuff on there that's lends itself. For instance, the song "Wheels Up" I did with Omi. That's part of my, I said, West Indian influence. I play steel drums as well. In high school, I learned to play them. And so that part of me is definitely strong, and I want to really dive more into that. So I just had to put a piece of that in there. Kind of an alternative, guitar-driven song. There's a song on there called "Forecast." A lot of these different lanes that I could go in, but it's primarily, with the R&B, jazz undertones, gospel thing going on as well. So, yeah.
Over the years, you've worn many hats. You've alluded to so far in this chat.
Yeah, I got a lot.
I love the hat you're wearing today.
I got a lot
Is
of
that not a great hat?
Thank you.
Can I try that on later, please? I think it's very cute. You've produced for rapper Wale. You've collaborated with jazz musicians.
He's on here too, by the way. Yeah.
Right, and you've also sung on a Grammy-nominated song with Kelly Price. You've had lots of side projects. You're a very busy guy. Have you ever tried something and then thought, you know what, I don't think this feels right and I need to back off this?
There's definitely been some projects where I started and I'm like, I've asked management, can we get out of this? That kind of thing. It's like, well, it might be kind of hard, but we can do it, yeah. Just because either I felt like the timing of it or just it was going to take more time than what it was worth. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there have been some projects where it's like, it doesn't make sense for me to do it. I'd rather do something that, for instance, paid me less money, but I'd be more satisfied, spiritually or whatever, to do it. So that happens. That's going to happen from time to time. But mostly, I do things that if it's not something I'm interested in, it's usually a person that I know, I've built a rapport with, a relationship, and we just go for it.
Is there something that you won't do? Like, would you do a country song?
Oh, I'd absolutely do a country song. That's, at bottom, we're all country folk. I think, all this is cityfied. Yeah, we build buildings and streets and whatnot, but I think people are basic, putting on clothes and stuff. This is just, stuff, But I think at the end of the day, we all want the same things. We all country folk. Well, we just dress it up. Kids with layers, you know what I mean?
I've never thought of it like that. I like that.
That's true.
You're a very accomplished as a drummer, not just a singer. So when you're up there singing, I have to know, do you ever get distracted by listening to the other person who's drumming and sort of feel like, hang on, you're a bit late with the snare there? I mean, is it kind of distracting? How do you just focus on being a singer when you are such an incredible drummer as well?
Well, I'm a drummer first, by the way. I've been doing that longer than anything, and probably most comfortable doing that even over singing, but I'm still learning how to, do this thing here. But
I think you've got it down.
Hey, I appreciate it. I'm still working on it. But I used to drum and sing at the same time. So before I was, actually just singing mostly, I was, doing background. So both of those things are one thing to me. And I grew up playing when I was very young, 3 and 4, with African dance troupes. So there were dancers, and we were a bunch of us percussionists playing, and the lead drummer would follow the dancer, and then all of us, would play one pattern. The pattern would just add up into this incredible just production of, just everything you would see and everything you would hear, just amazing, dynamic. The rest of us sitting there for 30 minutes, shoulders bleeding, because you have to sit on that one rhythm for like 20, 30 minutes. Till when you're done is when you're done. So listening to all these syncopated rhythms side by side, you kind of get used to it. And it became a game, and it still is a game for drummers to try to throw each other off, in between the rhythms and that kind of thing. So as a singer, it's kind of one thing. You learn to kind of tune certain things out, or not even tune them out. They're right there. It's just you learn how to play along with it. So it all becomes one thing.
It must be very useful to have those two different perspectives. You're familiar with being at the back of the stage as a drummer, and you're familiar with being at the front of the stage as a singer.
A lot of drummers end up being musical directors because I think they hear everything. Everything is a heartbeat at the beginning, at the end of the day. No matter what instrument you play, you have to play it in rhythm. You can't just play, you're not just hitting one note, and there has to be a beginning, a stop. That's what makes the dynamics. Low, soft. Give it to them, take it back. So, I think rhythm is always going to be involved in there, and it's that's important thing, I think.
Going back to mint condition for a second, you often hear about the members of a band going off and doing a solo project, and you often wonder what the relationship is like with the band at that time. But I get the feeling your bandmates are fully supportive of this new endeavor of yours.
That's what I understand it to be. Yeah, I believe so.
Who really knows?
I believe so. I mean, the thing is, when you do something so long, it's it's one of these things where I could have done this a long time ago. Any one of us, actually, not just me. It's just the spotlight is on me because I'm the singer, and that usually tends to be the case. Sometimes there's a few different singers, as in New Edition have a few different singers, and they want to expand their vocabulary, so to speak. And there's a lot of talent in mint condition, so I think that's something you will see, hopefully, because I know I've been trying to push some of the members, like, look, people need to know what it is that you do, because it's not only me, it's like what I do and who I am, what you see right now is because of, me coming through that whole university, which I call it, with Mint. So, I mean, it's just been so valuable to they've given me my legs, so to speak. Absolutely.
Someone who you've crossed paths with through the course of your career is Prince. And it's really hard to believe that it's been more than a year now since he left us. What does Prince mean to you personally? Where
you start? I mean, he's a friend, mentor, a beacon of light for me, not only me, but, musicians, artists around the world, because I think he fired on every cylinder, you know, musically, as a producer, as an arranger, as a singer, as a performer, as a fashionista, as a someone who's very prophetic, a poet. I heard him say, a friend of mine asked him, "What is it that you do, man? What do you think you do best? You do all these things." And he said, "At bottom, I believe the best. I'm a songwriter. At bottom, But he was all these things. A great human being. It's just so much. I mean, all the things we know and love him for. But I mean, he was just what I knew him. He was just really generous, and took us on the road with him. He would say, "Look, more people need to know about you. You need to do something. It's just part of your maturation as an artist. You have to do that." And everybody should keep going and doing what you do. The group should keep going. So just spreading our wings. So he's been just big champion for us, and not only us. There's a lot of different, as you've seen before he passed away. He was championing all these artists that he would kind of take under his wing. And when he did the nights at the Forum in L.A., he had all these people come out and open for him. He really wanted it for you, because he's been to the mountaintop 3, 4 times, and he's the only guy that we'll never get another one. It's just amazing. So definitely going to miss him.
I have just one last question before we kick it out to the audience. If you could go back, and you've been making music from a very young age, I think as early as maybe 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. If you could go back in time and give some advice to your younger musical self, maybe not the 3 or 4-year-old version, because they don't listen to anything.
No.
Kids that age.
Right.
What would you say to the younger Stokley?
More piano. Listen to your parents, social studies. There's a lot of different things. You don't realize how quick, because when you're in high school, junior high, that kind of thing, it takes forever. And you kind of, not that you think the world will never end, but it's just like you ain't even thinking, basically, to tell you the truth. You're not thinking. So take that time to study, study what came before you, whatever you're into, try to develop something early, because most likely that's the thing that's going to propel you, or at least it's something you can do, in the meantime, whatever your trade is going to be, But, just going back and studying more of what you're supposed to be studying. That's why you got parents and the wisdom of all the people that are your elders, You don't know nothing, Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I think things turned out all right for you, though. So let's, does anyone in our wonderful audience here have a question? Yeah.
Hello, Stokley.
Hello.
I wanted to say first, thank you so much for making timeless music. Mm-hmm. And then thank you for coming back and doing it again on your own. And with all the music that we have out today, with the younger audience that's making music now, what do you think is missing from the music today that keeps it from being timeless music?
For me, I'm a musician, I'm a player, so I come from that aspect of it, because you have a lot of singers and that kind of thing. I think what's missing is, and I love what it is, because sometimes, ignorance is bliss. So, that's a beautiful thing as well, DJs are doing their thing right now. That's an art form, amazing. There's some singers out there and, just some amazing artists, and they are who they are because they don't know, which you can, have some new paths that way too. That's great. But in the traditional sense, I would say just learning music, even if you learn some piano. So what I miss a lot of times musically is just dynamics. Like there's something in a song called the bridge, which is something that happens one time in a song. It's kind of like a climax and it goes back to the hook. So things right now are pretty much driven by production. So I think, unless you're a singer-songwriter, then you might have that kind of thing. But as far as in popular music, I think that's the thing that I miss on the radio. Now, however, I know that it still exists because there are people who still write. You just have to find it now. So you got to go find it on the internet. You know, where it was readily available to us back in the day. You can hear Steely Dan and Stevie Wonder and, you know, all these, you know, Led Zeppelin and all these different people on there, you know. And now it's just what we're fed. So you just have to go look for it now. So it's still there, but for what we hear, that's you know, every once in a while you might hear some stuff like that. I might, but yeah, I mean, my ear is so into everything. There's a lot of things that I do love, but hopefully that answers your question.
That was a great question.
Yeah,
we have time for a couple more.
Hello.
Hey,
So I was wondering if there's a certain type of venue that you like to perform in versus another one, like big or small or more intimate settings.
It depends. I do like theaters. You know, anything from 800, 1200. You know, something where people can see what it is that I'm doing, and you get a little. You know, if there's some lights involved, that's cool. Sometimes you get smaller clubs where the sight lines aren't cool, but I don't mind anything from an intimate, you know, 400, 500 person venue. That way you can get really intimate, talk to the crowd, just kind of like right now. And so I enjoy the differences of that. I've done, you know, big venues from like, you know, like for instance, we played at Madison Square with Prince, you know, it was great. It's different, you have to perform. Performing in a small club is different from performing in a theater, from performing in a big venue, you know, 13,000 capacity venue. So, I mean, you learn these different things along as you go. So I appreciate all of those different types of venues. My favorite probably would be theaters where people are standing. You know? There's not a lot of them, but, you know, the energy is different because sometimes, you know, even physically, your energy is, you know, you're relaxed. And the way I like to perform, it's like, it's a conversation. It's it's interactive. You know, there's a lot of back and forth, so we're talking back and forth. You know what I mean? So.
One last question.
Hey. So you mentioned you're always recording and you've got a lot of songs in the can. So when you're putting together an album like this, how do you decide what goes into the track list? And does picking singles like play into that?
I just, you know, as an artist, you do what you like, first of all, whatever catches, whatever your sensibility is, you know, naturally. It has to come organically and it has to be authentic. Otherwise, I don't think you all will believe it, you know. So I don't write from a perspective of, oh, this will be a great single. That might be the case after the fact, you know, after I like something. And if I was picking singles, that's something that I do outside of myself. I know what I like, because you may like, you know, everything you do, right? You know, but everybody's sensibility is different. It you know, something that you love may not speak to somebody else, you know. Musically, lyrically, you know, melodically, however that goes. But it's just one of those things, it's a process. So you do something you love. You let somebody else hear it, you know, see how it's resonating. What you love, it may not hit somebody else. So that might have an effect. I might say, oh, I may not put it on there, or I may love it so much, it was like, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to put it on there anyway, you know, just because it means something to me. So it is personal, and you want that to resonate with somebody. And sometimes the most personal things do resonate the most. Like, what was it? I mean, there's a bunch of artists out there who, you know, this industry always surprises you. You never know what people are going to like, you know. What is the obvious thing that you may think is, you know, oh, this sounds like radio, blah, blah, blah. You're like, no, actually, this one that sounds like this kind of singer-songwriter thing is the one, you know. So it always surprises you as far as that goes. But, yeah, if that makes sense. Thanks.
Thanks so. Guys, thanks for some really nice questions there. And Stokley, thank you so much. Introducing Stokley comes out June 23rd. That's this Friday.
Yeah.
And Stokley is going to be performing at various dates throughout the summer.
Yeah.
Where do people go to track you down?
Go to, still building my website, istokley.com. That's istokley.com. You can go to, of course, Twitter. I'm on there. Stokley Official. Facebook. Stokley. Also, my Instagram is that.
Easy to find people these days.
Yeah, we got also in between my dates as well. You can find that I'll be out with, speaking of Prince, with the Revolution as well. So I've been doing dates with them. And on that day, just to give their little plug, they're releasing a reissue of that Purple Rain with some extras on there. So it's the same day. So a day with two great releases, the Prince stuff and introducing Stokley. So go peep it out.
Great stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon.